Hey guys, Quinton here with Shoot Center, Cape Coral. Today we're going to talk to you about muzzle devices. Going to break them down into a few different categories and answer some of the questions that you may have and some things that you can take into consideration for what you might want to put on your rifle or PCC. Starting out, we're going to talk about Flashhiders. So the name says it all right there. Flashhiders' job is to dissipate gas at the end of the muzzle in a way that is going to help mitigate flash. So you're not going night blind if you're shooting in a low light condition. And primarily this has a military purpose, and that is to break up the silhouette of the rifle being fired so there aren't bright muzzle flashes giving away your position. Now as a civilian, that can still be important. Again, we've already talked about not going night blind, so that may be a consideration for you. Moving on, we've got compensators. Now this device is not going to be as common as just a compensator anymore, sort of fallen by the wayside, but the job of a compensator is to direct gas in a way that is going to mitigate the rise of the muzzle. So this is a great example of one. It's an AK slant break. You can find these on a lot of AKM pattern rifles to this day. And it is cut in a way that directly negates the natural rise of the weapon under recoil from firing. So it's not necessarily mitigating that recoil directly. They're not feeling less recoil, but it is using the gas from the round being fired to push the barrel back into line to help you set up for another shot. That can help out a lot for faster strings of semi-auto shooting, or if you're lucky enough to have a machine gun, that could be something to look into. Last up, we have a muzzle break. So a muzzle break, sort of like a compensator, and I guess also kind of like a flash hider, but the opposite, where instead of trying to vent the gas in a way that's going to mitigate flash, we're trying to vent the gas as quickly away from the muzzle of the firearm as possible. So a compensator's job is to mitigate felt recoil. This is going to help reduce split times and hopefully keep the gun as flat as possible. So you're not directly venting gas away from the muzzle to push the muzzle down. You are directly venting gas away from the muzzle to help take away the actual kick of the recoil of the firearm. All right, we'll talk a little bit about some combination devices. By far, these are going to be the most common ways that you see muzzle devices on the market today. If it's not just a flash hider, it's probably going to be a combination of the three in some capacity. A great example would be the A2 birdcage, which is going to be on most of your standard AR style rifles on the market in 5.56. The birdcage is not only vented holes to help break up flash, but it's a solid bottom. And what that does is, again, direct gas upwards away from the barrel, and that's going to help push the muzzle back down. So this is a good example of a flash hider and a compensator. Another one that we've got on the table here is a Surefire Pro Comp. The Surefire Pro Comp is not only a muzzle brake where you've got these big holes to vent gas and help tame that recoil, but you've got two vent holes on the top of the device that are going to also help push the muzzle back down in line after firing. A good example of all three would be a device that I don't have here in front of me. That's the Strike Industries J-Comp. It is not only a muzzle brake and compensator, but it has a flash hider out in front to try and tame the flash a little bit. The last thing that we'll talk about here briefly is quick detach. So most suppressor manufacturers are going to offer a method of attaching that silencer to a rifle that doesn't involve directly threading it to the muzzle. So it's a lot easier to go back and forth between different weapon systems if you can just attach it, say, to a muzzle device. So a good example here, we have a Silencer Co. ASR mount that's going to be compatible with most of their rifle suppressors. We also have a flash hider from Huxworks, which will fit any of their HX QD suppressors. That's quick detach. Dead Air has one called Key Mount, and Surefires has their quick detach system as well. Again, most silencer manufacturers are going to have their own quick detach system, and all of them, to my knowledge at least, are proprietary to those silencers. So if you have one that you want to use or already have one and want to use it on different platforms, you're going to want to use that manufacturer's muzzle devices. That does it for today's video. Check us out on all of our social medias. Like, share, subscribe, and as always, we'll see you on the range.